friends, it's Deanna here today, and today we're going to be sewing up the Modern Juliet top. This is a super cute top. I love, love, love the sleeve detail. There's this like cute gather sleeve, like a Juliet pattern, what you would see in that time period. Hi friends, it's Deanna here today, and today we're going to be sewing the Modern Juliet top. I'm super excited about this. I don't think I've ever seen this detail on the sleeve. I think it's gonna be adorable. I'm gonna be sewing the long sleeve version, but there's different sleeve lengths. There's also a short sleeve, and I'm gonna be sewing up the scoop version with a sway back. So let's get started. All right, so first things first, we're gonna start with the sway back, and the sway back really helps if you have like a back that kind of goes in a little bit more, because we cut the fabric in two and then we sew it in the back, and it kind of helps to shape that back really nicely against you. And so what I'm gonna do is, if you are doing the sway back, you're gonna grab your two backs and place them right sides together and sew along the back seam. If you don't have a sway back, you would skip this step and you would move on to the next step. I'm gonna be using my serger to sew this up. You need to use some kind of stretch stitch on your sewing machine to sew up with knits, or a serger. All right, once that back is a solid piece, you can go over to your iron and steam that seam right there. Then we're gonna go over to, flip it back over to the right side and grab our front panel, our front bodice, and we're gonna place them right sides together at the shoulder seams. All right, while I'm at it, I'm gonna go ahead and sew up my side seams as well. We're going to be doing an inset sleeve. So we're gonna put the sleeve together and then sew it into the bodice. So we're also going to sew up the sides. Now you can do this right now, or you can do this later. It's really up to you. But I like to do it all at the same time. So I'm gonna go ahead and do those sides as well. All right, so we're gonna put that shirt to the side, and we're gonna go ahead and get started on our sleeves. I also folded my neckband wrong sides together, and I steamed it to give it a memory crease. So I wanted to go ahead and prep that while my iron was hot. And I'm going to go ahead and just prep it by sewing those short raw edges together there. And you don't have to do this right now. You can come back to it later, but I just had it here in front of me, so I figured I'd go ahead and do that. All right, so I've got my sleeve here. This is this cap of my sleeve. So you'll have two pieces if you're doing the elbow sleeve or the long sleeve. If you have the short sleeve, you'll have this piece plus arm bands. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab the top piece, and we're also gonna grab your bottom pieces. So both top pieces and bottom pieces. And you need to make sure you have your gathering marks. I'm sorry, not the bottom piece. We're not gonna grab the bottom piece right now. You're going to make sure that you put in your gathering on the top of your sleeve. You're gonna gather from marking to marking, and on the bottom from marking to marking. So we're gonna put in a gathering stitch. What we're gonna do is we're gonna do the regular length stitch so that we can do a smaller, tighter gather as we are going to gather this to fit our sleeve. So see, it ends up gathering, we're gonna gather this area here to fit our sleeve here, and this area up here to fit into our shirt when we're sewing it up. So let's put in a gathering stitch. So it's just gonna be a straight stitch starting from the first gather point all the way to the second gather point. These are my back notches, so those are not my gather points, but make sure you mark those so you know where you're going, and then also at the bottom, both sleeves. I'm gonna leave a tail at the beginning and add the end to gather with. All right, then we're gonna grab our sleeve bottom. So I'm having my top here, and I wanna make sure that I have the correct pieces. They're both facing up. This is the back, this is the back, so I know that these are gonna match up. This is gonna go into this piece here. So we're gonna go ahead and flip this right sides together. So the cap is gonna go right onto the bottom of the sleeve. Make sure you move those stitches down. And we're gonna start here at the edge, and we're going to place that straight until we get to the gathering point here that I have. So this is gonna get, ooh, that's a broken clip. It's gonna get stitched, sewn there. And then on this side, same thing, Start at the edge until you get to the gathering point. Okay, and then from gathering point to gathering point, we're going to gather this sleeve, and you're just pulling the bobbin thread. That's what helps you gather, and you want to have a nice neat gather. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and baste that together within your seam allowance, and we're going to do that for both sleeves. That will be the bottom of your sleeve. Oh, that's going to be so adorable. All right, let's go baste those. All right, so now that look at that. That already looks so adorable. Obviously, other than the basting stitch, shall remove later. So I've got my gathers here, and we're gonna cut out a piece of elastic from your cutting chart, or measure and add and do 90% of what that gathering area measures. So I'm gonna go ahead and fold my elastic in half, basically, and mark it. And I'm gonna use a marker because it's just nicer. And you can use regular elastic. Or clear elastic. I'm using clear elastic. I just like that clear elastic is a little bit thinner, and so it doesn't bother me in my shoulders or nothing. So anyway, and I'm gonna mark the half of my sleeve here. And I'm gonna go ahead and place this elastic here at this half. And then I'm gonna stretch it to fit lightly and baste it onto my shoulder cap. So we're just gonna stretch it and baste it. That's gonna help keep those gathers nice and where they're supposed to be when you're sewing it up and everything, and when you're wearing it. And then once I get done doing that, I'm gonna go to my serger and serge that whole edge, and then remove the basting stitches. I'm gonna do it with my gathers facing up. Make sure it's all nice and flat and the fabric is not like bunching up. And I'm gonna grab the elastic right here at the front and kind of get it a little bit started, and we're gonna sew it onto the seam allowance. And I'm just gonna use I'm gonna use like a zigzag stitch to attach it. But again, it's on the seam allowance, so like a longer zigzag stitch, because I'm just attaching it first. And then I'm gonna go over to my serger and really get it on there. And like I'm right here at the center, and I'm kind of stretching it lightly. You shouldn't have to stretch a whole lot. Now we're gonna go to our serger and encase that elastic. Now, if you look at my gathers here, you will see that the encased elastic, the elastic is right there encased in the seam now. So this helps keep that stability really nice right there. Now here on my iron, I'm going to give this bottom of the sleeve for the long sleeve and the elbow sleeve. I'm going to give it a little press for the hem. So we're just doing a hem memory press. And you can also steam your seam here carefully. I wouldn't, if you have the elastic, I would be really careful when steaming that so you don't burn your elastic, and you also don't want to mess up your gathers. But it looks so good. And then we're also going to remove all these basting stitches. Not the top one, we need that one, but these ones down here. So just remove those stitches if possible. All right, that looks beautiful. This is what the front looks like. This is what the back looks like with my elastic encased in there. So now we're gonna go ahead and grab the sleeve and fold it right sides together to sew up that inseam. Make sure that the memory fold is opened up. You're just gonna need that. That's gonna be helpful later when you are hemming it. And then we're gonna sew those right sides together. If you were doing the short sleeve, you would have done the gathering already still but then, and put the elastic, but you wouldn't be attaching to the bottom of the sleeve. After you do all that, you would be attaching your band to the bottom of your sleeve. So you'll have a band instead of having the bottom of the sleeve. So I'm gonna go sew that up, and I'm going to sew up that neckband and have that prepped. Then all we have to do is put the sleeves into the bodice, put the neckband on, hem, and we're done. All right, so since I already put a gathering stitch here at the top of my sleeve, I'm ready to go to attach. So I'm gonna turn the sleeve right side out. I'm gonna grab my bodice, and we're going to make sure that we're grabbing the right sleeve. You're gonna fit it right in, and the back with the back and the front with the front. So we're gonna fit it into our bodice, match up the bottom, the armpit seam. I'm gonna cut these threads, and I know I have a lot of people ask me, like, I trim my threads closed, and do I finish that off? Well, I just trim the ones that are gonna be sewn over. So like I'm gonna sew over here, over it, so that will secure that seam right there. So that's why the edge doesn't just unravel, because you're gonna sew right over it. And then we're gonna find the top of the sleeve, and we're gonna place that at the seam, the back seam, okay? And so then we're gonna go ahead and start placing. So right here, we're gonna place it to the sleeve until we start that gathering stitch. So then we're gonna pull that bobbin thread and gather that sleeve to fit that arm size. So here's the gathers for the front side, just gathering to fit. Make sure those gathers are nice and even. And you can go ahead, like if you want to, if you're worried about the gathers being even, you can go ahead and go base this first and see how it looks, and then sew it. Or you know, it's up to you if you wanna go out, sew it, and then, but you're gonna do the same for the back. The straight up until it's gathering time, straight down, and then gather to fit the back of the sleeve evenly. You want all those gathers to be nice and even. Now, if you, depending on what kind of fabric you have, if you want extra reinforcement, you can also add some elastic here at the shoulder cap. My fabric is really nice and easy to work with, and it keeps a good shape. So I'm not going to be adding the clear elastic here at the shoulder cap, but that is something that you can do as well. All right, we're gonna sew that up. I'm gonna do the same for the other one. All right, so now we're gonna sew that up. Now, if you wanted to go ahead and do the neckband now, you're gonna go from the front to the back and find your front to quarter that neckband, and then front to back match those up and quarter the sides and go to the sides. Now, obviously you can go ahead and go sew your sleeves first. I just like to do everything at the same time, so that's why I'm moving on to this step. But and the clips keep everything together really nicely, so I trust the clips, maybe a little too much. We're gonna grab this neckband and we're gonna fold it wrong sides together, and this is where that memory crease comes in handy. And we're gonna clip that back, and then we're gonna go all the way to the front. So match the back and then go to the front and mark it. And then match the front and back and go to the sides and mark those. Once you have those marked, we can go ahead and place on our band matching right sides together. So on our neck, matching right sides together. Now, if you are new to sewing or struggle with neckbands, we do have a really good video on here about neckbands. So it's called Bands, and it tells you exactly how I achieve really good neckbands in very, like easy steps. So make sure you check that video out. All right, I'm gonna go sew this up, and then we'll come back to hem, and that is it. We'll be done. All right, I like to face my gathers up where I can see them and make sure they're going in nice and even and not all bunched up or anything like that. Make sure you're keeping track of all your fabric so nothing's gonna go under the knife and get sewn that you don't want to get sewn. All right, now our neckband. Again, if you have questions on your neckband, make sure you refer to that video, and that will help you get a really nice neckband. All right, now I'm just going to go ahead and give a memory press here at the bottom, and we're gonna go hem, and we'll be done. All right, friends, we are done. This top turned out so stinking adorable. I love the detail of the sleeve. So cute. Today I'm pairing it with the wide leg paperback pants. Remember, I did a hack not that long ago here on our channel, so you can go check it out and make these pants with me. I think this outfit is just so good. So good. I love it. I'm obsessed. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please comment, like, share, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you all next time.